Eyes closed.
Was this the price of vanity? A beautiful cage becoming a living tomb? Elara's scream was a silent, desperate thing trapped behind her sister's rosebud lips. A sound swallowed by the opulent silence of a bedroom that was not her own. She clawed at the familiar yet alien skin, expecting the illusion to peel away like a cheap mask. But only her own nails, perfectly manicured in Saffron's signature crimson, bit into real flesh. This was not the borrowed dream she had paid for. This was a waking nightmare. Where was Saffron? The question echoed, a frantic drumbeat in a mind that was starting to feel uncomfortably, terrifyingly roomy. The desire had festered for years, a thorny vine twisting around her heart every time they stood side by side. Elara, the shadow, Saffron, the sun. They were identical in blueprint, yet Saffron possessed a magnetic vibrancy, a cruel trick of genetics that lit her features from within. Men's eyes slid over Elara to worship her sister, their gaze a physical weight of indifference. Last night, at yet another party where she felt like furniture, a woman with eyes like ancient coins had whispered of a solution. A single night, she promised. A chance to wear beauty like a fine dress and then return it, no questions asked. The temptation was a sweet, poisonous drink. Elara gulped down eagerly. The ritual was absurdly simple, conducted in her own cramped room that smelled of old books and loneliness. A strand of Saffron's honey blonde hair, a drop of Elara's blood, and the whispered words from a crumbling page. There was no thunderclap, no searing pain, just a sudden, profound wrongness, a dizzying lurch, as if the world had tilted on its axis, then a crushing weight of darkness. She had awoken tangled in Saffron's silk sheets, the morning sun glinting off Saffron's diamond earrings on her ears. The initial giddy thrill curdled into pure, undiluted terror when she saw her own reflection. Panic was a live wire in her gut. Elara scrambled from the bed, her movements awkward in Saffron's longer, more graceful limbs. She stumbled into the hallway, her heart hammering against ribs that felt strangely delicate. "Saffron," she called out, but her sister's melodic voice came out, smooth and alien. Her own room, the sanctuary of her plainness, was empty. The bed was neatly made, her favorite worn-out sweater folded on the chair. A cold dread, colder than the marble floor beneath her feet, began to seep into her bones. The house was silent in a way that felt final, a tomb sealing her inside this beautiful lie. Frantically she searched, leaving a trail of open doors and rising hysteria. The bathroom, the kitchen, the garden, all were devoid of Saffron. But in the living room, she froze. There on the sofa sat a girl. It was Elara. Or rather, it was her own body, wearing her own clothes, staring blankly at the wall. A sob of relief caught in her throat. "Saffron!" "Thank God," she cried, rushing forward. But the girl on the sofa just blinked, her eyes, Elara's own soft brown eyes, cloudy with a profound and unsettling confusion. There was no recognition in that gaze, only a vacant, placid wonder. "It's me, Elara," she said, grabbing her own shoulders, shaking the body that should have been hers. The girl flinched, a small, frightened animal, and pulled away. Who are you?" the girl whispered, her voice a pale imitation of Elara's own. The words were a physical blow. This was not her sister playing a cruel joke. This was something far worse. The beautiful face in the mirror, the vacant shell on the sofa, the pieces clicked together with horrifying finality. The spell had not been borrowed, it had been a trade. And Saffron was not just missing, she was being erased, replaced by a hollow echo. The doorbell rang, a cheerful chime that shattered the suffocating silence. Elara's head snapped up. It was Liam, Saffron's boyfriend, his handsome face expectant behind the glass. She couldn't let him see this, couldn't let anyone know, smoothing Saffron's features into what she hoped was a convincing smile. She opened the door. "Hey, you," Liam said, leaning in to kiss her. His lips on hers felt like a violation, a theft. She forced herself not to recoil. "Ready for our date?" he asked, his arm slipping around a waist that was not hers. Behind them, the girl on the sofa simply watched, a silent, broken doll. She had to go. To stay was to invite questions with no sane answers. "Just let me get my bag," she chirped in Saffron's voice, the falseness of it making her nauseous. She guided the confused girl, who wore her face, toward her old bedroom, whispering harsh promises to explain later. Locking the door from the outside felt like sealing a tomb. The entire brunch was a surreal performance. Liam chatted about his week, completely oblivious to the screaming chaos behind her eyes. Every laugh she faked, every flirtatious touch felt like another nail in her own coffin, another layer of Saffron's identity cementing over her soul. Returning home, her heart thudded with a new, specific fear. What if the girl was gone? What if she had vanished, taking Elara's last tether to her old life with her? But she was still there, sitting on the floor of Elara's room, calmly leafing through a childhood photo album. She looked up as Elara entered, a faint, polite smile on Elara's lips. "These are nice pictures," she said softly. "Who is that girl with me in all of them?" "She looks familiar." She was pointing at a photo of the two twins, arms slung around each other. Saffron was pointing at Saffron. The erasure was accelerating. A desperate plan formed, born of sheer clawing terror. She had to find the woman with the coin-like eyes, the one who had sold her this curse. Dragging her own uncomprehending body behind her, she retraced her steps from that fateful night. The streets, so alive with promise then, now seemed menacing. The girl, who she had started to think of as the Echo, followed placidly, occasionally stopping to admire a pretty flower or a shop window. Her innocence a grotesque mockery of the situation. The city had swallowed the mysterious woman whole, leaving no trace behind. Days bled into a week, a grotesque parody of their old lives. Elara lived Saffron's life, attending her classes, laughing with her friends, all while a cold stone of dread sat permanently in her gut. The Echo, meanwhile, was fading. She no longer asked questions. She spent her days in a quiet, contented haze, eating when food was given, sleeping often. The books that had been Elara's passion held no interest. Her own personality, her memories, her essence were draining away like water down a sink, leaving behind a serene, empty vessel waiting to be filled. The most horrifying change came on the 8th day. Elara was rifling through Saffron's closet, the frantic search for any clue about the woman, now a daily ritual. When the Echo wandered in, she watched for a moment, then reached out and picked up Saffron's favorite perfume, spritzing it onto her own wrist, Elara's wrist. She inhaled deeply, a look of pure, unadulterated pleasure on her face. "I love this scent," the Echo murmured, her voice taking on a new confident lilt. It was Saffron's lilt. The shell was not just empty. It was beginning to remember a identity, but it was the wrong one. Elara stumbled back, her hand flying to her mouth. The horror was no longer just about being trapped. It was about being replaced. The spell was a two-part poison. It grafted Saffron's face onto her, while slowly grafting Saffron's soul into the body it had vacated. She was a usurper in her sister's skin, while her own body was being colonized by the very sister she had envied. The irony was a bitter, acidic taste in her throat. She had wanted to be her sister, and now she was literally watching herself become her, from the outside in. Driven by a new kind of fear, she began a different search, scouring the internet for obscure myths, forgotten legends of stolen faces and swapped fates. The public library became her refuge, its dusty silence a comfort. She left the echo at home, now worryingly adept at mimicking Saffron's little habits. The way she hummed while making tea, the specific tilt of her head when curious. One afternoon, buried in a tome of local folklore, she found it. A tale of twin sisters and a soul-stealing mirror. The punishment for vanity was not just a swapped life, but a merged one, ending in a single confused identity. According to the brittle pages, the spell sought equilibrium, two halves, one beautiful and one plain, forcing a violent balance. The stronger personality would eventually consume the weaker, creating one whole person from two shattered ones. The book spoke of a hollowing out, a period where the displaced soul forgets itself before being absorbed. It was a battle of wills, not of magic, and Elara, who had spent a lifetime believing she was weaker, was now locked in a psychic war for her very existence. The stakes could not be higher. Lose, and both of them would cease to be. That night she dreamed she was sinking in a dark, warm ocean. It was not unpleasant. A voice, Saffron's voice, whispered from the depths, not as an enemy, but as a lure. It's easier down here. Let go. She felt a profound desire to listen, to stop fighting, to let the current take her. She woke up gasping, Saffron's sweat-slicked skin clammy against the sheets. The dream was not a dream. It was an invasion. The merger had begun. Her own thoughts felt fuzzy at the edges. Memories of her childhood suddenly viewed through a golden, saffron-colored lens. She fought back the only way she knew how. She began a frantic journal, scribbling in a hidden notebook. "My name is Elara," she wrote, over and over. She listed her favorite books, her childhood fears, the secret name she had for her first stuffed animal. She documented every memory that felt purely her own, building a fortress of self against the rising tide of Saffron's identity. Meanwhile, the echo now moved through the house with a disquieting familiarity, her confusion replaced by a growing, serene assurance. She was becoming more Saffron than Saffron had ever been. A breaking point came when Liam visited. The echo answered the door, a brilliant smile on Elara's face. "Liam, darling," she said, and her tone was perfect. She led him inside, chatting animatedly about a movie they had seen, a movie Elara had endured, with Liam while pretending to be Saffron. Liam, beaming, looked past her to where the real Elara stood, frozen in the hallway. "Hey, Saff," he said to her. "Your sister seems so much better lately. Almost like a different person." The double meaning hung in the air, a noose around Elara's neck. The echo had just stolen her memory. The world tilted. Elara fled to the bathroom, locking the door and gripping the sink until her knuckles turned white. The face in the mirror was a stranger's, yet it was also becoming frighteningly familiar. Sometimes she caught herself thinking in Saffron's patterns, enjoying Saffron's foods. The journal entries were becoming harder to write. The word "I" felt slippery, its meaning unstable. Was I the mind thinking these thoughts, or the face in the reflection? The boundaries were blurring, and she was terrified that soon there would be no Elara left to even notice the difference. In a moment of lucid clarity, she realized she was going about it all wrong. Fighting Saffron's identity was a losing battle. She had to embrace it, to understand it from the inside, to find the cracks. She stopped resisting the stray memories and feelings. When a desire for a particular food surfaced, she ate it. When a memory of a family vacation with her parents, no, Saffron's parents, floated into her mind, she examined it closely. She was an archaeologist excavating her own soul, searching for the artifact that was uniquely, irrevocably her. It was a dangerous game, dancing on the edge of self-annihilation. Her research led her to a new, more terrifying conclusion. The merger had a time limit. The book mentioned a convergence, typically at the full moon following the initial spell. After that, the process was irreversible. The two souls would be irrevocably fused. She counted the days on a calendar, her blood running cold. The convergence was in 3 days. She had 72 hours to find a way to sever the connection, or Elara and Saffron would be gone forever, replaced by a new, merged creature wearing Saffron's beauty and filled with their combined, jumbled memories. The full moon rose, a bloated, accusing eye in the sky. The air in the house grew thick and heavy, humming with an unseen energy. The echo stood in the center of the living room, bathed in moonlight, her form seeming to glow. She was no longer an echo. She was nearly solid, nearly complete. She turned to Elara, and her eyes held a terrifying mixture of both sisters. Saffron's vivacity and Elara's depth swirled together into something new and unsettling. "It's almost time," the being said, and its voice was a harmonic blend of both their tones. Elara felt a powerful pull, a magnetic force drawing her toward the other. Her own body felt like a ghost, insubstantial and fading. Memories flashed. A scraped knee, Saffron's hand pulling her up. A shared joke that left them breathless with laughter. The quiet comfort of lying side by side in the dark as children. It wasn't Saffron's life she saw, but their life. The envy, the resentment. It all seemed so small and petty against the vast, shared landscape of their sisterhood. The love had been there all along, buried beneath her own insecurity. In that moment of crystalline clarity, she understood. The spell fed on dissonance, on the difference between them. It could not consume what was whole. Fighting Saffron, or becoming her, was not the answer. The only way out was through acceptance, not of the spell, but of each other. She stopped pulling away from the magnetic force. Instead, she stepped toward the glowing figure, not in surrender, but in reunion. She let the love for her sister, a pure and powerful force she had locked away for years, flood through her, washing away the jealousy and the pain. She reached out, not to push the other away, but to take her hand. The moment their skin touched, a shockwave of pure white light erupted, silent and blinding. It was not painful, but purifying. Elara felt every atom of her being vibrate, not with the terror of being erased, but with the profound rightness of being known. She saw Saffron's entire life, not the glamorous facade, but the fears, the pressures of constant beauty, the lonely weight of being the favorite. She saw her own life through Saffron's eyes, not as plain, but as steady, intelligent, and deeply admired. When the light faded, only one figure stood in the moonlit room. She walked slowly to the hall mirror, her heart pounding not with fear, but with a quiet, trembling hope. The face that looked back was her own. Not Saffron's, not a merged abomination, but Elara's. Her own soft brown eyes, her own plainer, kinder features. But something was different. The shadow of resentment was gone from her gaze, replaced by a deep, hard-won peace and a new understanding. She looked whole. She turned from the mirror, and there on the sofa, Saffron was sleeping peacefully. Her own beautiful face relaxed and untroubled. The next morning, Saffron woke up in her own bed, confused about the past week, remembering only a long, strange dream. The two sisters never spoke of it directly, the experience too profound for words. But something had fundamentally shifted. The unspoken competition evaporated. Elara no longer walked in her sister's shadow, carrying her own quiet light with a new confidence. Saffron, in turn, seemed less like a dazzling sun and more like a person, her beauty softened by a newfound empathy. They had looked into the abyss of losing each other and had returned forever changed, forever bound not by magic but by choice. The lesson was carved into Elara's soul. Envy is a poison that distorts your own reflection, making you blind to the unique value you hold. True identity isn't found in the features of your face, but in the content of your character, forged by your own experiences and struggles. Comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel is a path to misery, for everyone has hidden battles and private sorrows. The grass is not greener on the other side. It is green where you water it. And the most dangerous magic is not found in spellbooks, but in the desperate wish to be anyone but yourself. We hope this story of two sisters reminded you that your own unique light is valuable, and that the greatest strength often lies in accepting who you are. If this tale kept you on the edge of your seat, if it made you think and feel, then do us a favor. Help us bring more gripping stories to life. Hit that like button and subscribe to Story Palace. Don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss a journey into the extraordinary. What would you have done in Elara's place? Tell us in the comments below. Until next time, remember to cherish your own story.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. Anxiety, filling up every space, no privacy, and silently, it could build and build until you finally see.